Afternoon, everybody. Silverbolt here. Actually, no, it's still morning. Oh well. Back for a video, and it was actually supposed to be for my Archer account, but seeing as the way I can't seem to actually access that account anymore, I thought, sod it, I'll do it on here instead. I obviously have company. I got a big white man next to me with a little black man next to me. Was that racist? I was referring to dogs, but you know what? Some people find it racist, but never mind. Anyway, the subject of this video, I'd like to call it Silverbolt and Justin Bieber. Or would that be Archer and Justin Bieber? Ah, who cares? Anyway, and also it's back into a very old-style location. I'm sat on my bed talking to my mobile phone because my actual camera I've lost the cable to. Is that a minute of nothing but tangents? Yes, Fortress. It's a garden. Anyway, you're probably thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is this. Funny enough, it was actually CinemaSins and their Everything Wrong with Justin Bieber's Baby that gave me the idea for this video. And it's actually something I've thought about mentioning before. And I'm going to talk about Justin Bieber. You know, annoying little shite that everyone hates. Well, anyone with any taste hates. And there we go, because I am as guilty as everybody else of hating on Justin Bieber. But something that has occurred to me in regards to the hate of Justin Bieber. Now, quick little bit of backstory. Obviously, Justin Bieber was discovered at a very young age through YouTube. And something the nostalgia critic has never realised is that internet fame is rather fleeting. You only have to look at the view counts on my videos from 5 years ago to the view counts I get now to realise that. You know, people's tastes on the internet change even faster than they do with movie stars. So, you know, people come and go. But Justin Bieber is one of those success stories that hasn't gone anywhere, no matter how much most people want him to. So, he was found 2007-ish at the age of 12 singing covers by a guy called Scooter Brian, I don't know how you pronounce it. And just to give you some idea of the kind of upbringing Justin Bieber had as a small child, his mother initially was reluctant to let Justin have anything to do with Scooter because the guy was a Jew. And don't you know, they killed Christ. So yes, Justin Bieber, through the world of YouTube, found fame, glory, and stardom. And then went on to become a colossal prat. But the point of this exposition was Justin Bieber always just a little shit who just needed a good whooping? Or is he a product of his environment? Justin Bieber found earth-shattering fame and wealth and popularity from a very young age. A time when his mindset was not developed properly. And to give you a case in point, let's take a think back to former child stars and what became of them. Three of the most famous would be the two Coreys and Macaulay Culkin. Look what happened to them. One of them's now dead, the other one looks like he should be an extra in a zombie movie, and the other Corey's kind of got his life turned around. But it took the better part of 20 years in order for him to do it. Miley Cyrus goes from being cute little Nickelodeon, whatever channel she was on, pop star, to the literal translation of Korn's Freak on a Leash. Lindsay Lohan is another one. Jonathan Brandis would be another one, who was my childhood favourite actor. Though admittedly, to the best of my knowledge anyway, Jonathan Brandis never became an alcoholic drug addict. But he was severely troubled throughout his teens, and which eventually led to his suicide in 2003. And, you know, which was a tragic shame, because I remember reading at one point the guy was tipped for Hayden Christensen's role in Attack of the Clones, which of course would have sent his career well, mind you, it killed Hayden Christensen for quite a while. Not that the guy had much of a career in the first place. But anyway, the point of the video is that was Justin Bieber always destined to be this colossal gobshite? Or is he a product of his environment? You know, bear in mind, most teenagers have pretty much a god complex anyway. You know, they really have the attitude is, I know what's right. and I know best. You know, I mean, how many memes and satires and comedy skits and documentaries are done on teenagers turning around to their parents saying, "You don't know anything." Hell, I knew I was a good. Well, no, I was never really a bad teenager, but I certainly had I know what I want to do with my life. Says the guy who's now 33 and had to go back to college, but there we go. So, you know, Justin Bieber, he comes from being this little kid attending church groups in Canada who is singing cover songs and getting them put on YouTube and then just gets found. And then, you know, 7 years later, sorry, is this massive, massive pop star with as many haters as he has fans. Whose actions have led most people to believe that he is a colossal twat. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's not, because he is. But is that all his own doing? The point I'm trying to make, in a rather roundabout, I think, way, is that all Justin Bieber actually is? Or is he a product of the environment that made him up? Bear in mind, the music industry is known for two major things. Sexual predatorism and severe degrees of sycophantism. Sycophantism. Is sycophantism even a word? Major kiss-assing. So Justin Bieber has basically had legions of people going around saying, "You are amazing, you are wonderful, you are brilliant, you are the best thing in the music industry since the Beatles." He's not. And it's no wonder that it has gone to his head, and he is now this egotistical, arrogant prick who has lavish parties, who, let's face it, is almost certainly a womanizer. The guy is, after all, a teenager who is famous the worldwide. I guarantee you he did not have Selena Gomez round for milk and cookies. Unless he was after her cookie. Hey. No, wait a second, she was still 16, I can't make jokes like that. Anyway, excuse phone buzzing. I really should turn off the internet and notifications when I do that, if I'm going to start having to use my mobile phone until I find a call. Tangents! But anyway, yeah, so, you know, he is going to have women thrust at him. He's going to have money thrown at him. He is on posters. He's on billboards. He's been in his own movie. I wouldn't call that a movie, but there we go. You know, he's been in his own movie. He's got several hit record labels, and as much as you might despise Justin Bieber and don't like the music that he sings, both of which I profess to be quite happily in that camp of, you can't deny he is a very successful pop artist. How much of that is down to Justin himself and how much of that is down to his auto-tuning buddies in the record labels is open for debate. But you can't deny that he is successful. He is popular. There are as many people who hate him as there are that love him. People do like Justin Bieber. People do buy his records. He has sell-out concerts. But I have to say, I do believe that he is a product of his environment. You know, he has been taken from at a young age where he was very impressionable, told he could be told over and over and over and over and over again that he will be the next big thing, a claim they lived up to in most regards, and it went to his head. Like it did with so many others. You know, Justin Bieber might be more prolific now than, say, Macaulay Culkin was, because Macaulay Culkin was a product of his times, which was the 1990s. You know, the two Coreys, well, their fame stretched back to the 80s. I think The Lost Boys was the first film they starred in, so, together. And, you know, he is what the world has made him. You know, take another internet fame person who didn't get picked up by a record label. Rebecca Black. You know, Friday, Friday. I listened to that song maybe 6 times, but I will remember it till the day I fucking die. Because it did what pop music really is supposed to do. It was annoying, it was irritating, but it was catchy as hell and it sticks in your head. It's like a bad Disney song. I'm not going to start singing Let It Go. The snow blows white and glows white. Blows white? Glows white? I need to go back and listen to Jonathan Young's cover of it. Anyway, so yes, you know, Justin Bieber is a product of his time. He is what this world of capitalism, consumerism, where image is everything, and you put good taste and decency to one side while you maintain this image with what I'm fairly sure is a boob job that he's currently having at the moment. And you become, if you get, I would imagine that if any one of us, that if I had found YouTube fame at the age of 12, if as in I was 12 in 2007, instead of being 26, if I had found that fame, or if you had found that fame, would we be any different? Would we be any less of an insufferable shit? You've got to remember, Justin Bieber, he is still very young. He was born in 1994. He's still a young man. He may very well look back in 20 years' time and think, Jesus, I was a prick. As so many people do. They look back at who they were as young people and realise that, you know what, I really did think I knew everything, and in reality I knew fucking nothing. So, it seems that the only child stars that you don't hear about are the ones that kind of faded into obscurity and were lost to the sands of time. Two immediately spring to mind: Barrett Oliver and Noah Hathaway. Those of you who don't remember, Barrett Oliver was Bastian in the first Neverending Story, and then he was also the lead roles in Flight of the Navigator and Daryl, Daryl was based, most people have heard of Flight of the Navigator, but Daryl was basically AI without the budget. Kinda. And Noah Hathaway was Atreyu in Neverending Story, the first one, but he was also the little kid in the original Battlestar Galactica TV show. So, Barrett Oliver, I remember he was quite prolific from what I recall from the 80s, in the time when I was 0 to 9. But there we go. He was, from what I remember, Flight of the Navigator, Neverending Story, and Daryl were all big media movies from back in the day. Would you settle down? Honestly, Fortress. So I was quite happy, just sat there lying there. Oh, no, that gives it up. Well, they need a walk anyway, and the sun's shining, so that's what's going on. You finished your breakfast? But you bleeding haven't. Don't give me that look. Don't look at me like that, you. Anyway, random scratching of cute puppies aside. So, they faded into obscurity. As to the best of my knowledge, they didn't become alcoholics or drug addicts or woman beaters or anything like that. I mean, and going back to Rebecca Black, a point I actually intended to make and then forgot, is the response that woman got. They got the kind of response that should have been reserved for fucking Gary Glitter and Jimmy Savile. There were threats to kill this child. I mean, this is a child who did nothing more than flout many little girls' dreams of becoming a pop star. And, the song was annoying, and it was auto-tuned, and actually, in all fairness, she's not actually that bad a singer. If you want to look at her logically, if you actually look at her singing without the auto-tune, she's not that bad a singer. Okay, she's nothing spectacular, but she's not that bad. She got hounded. She got death threats to a child. What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you dogs? Seriously. She got death threats. I suppose that's the world we live in, where we send death threats to a child and sign up petitions to stop TV show presenters from being fired after they not only, violate employment laws, but violate the laws of the country as well, not to punch your producer. It just seems that Justin Bieber gets an awful lot of hate. And I'm one of them. I think the guy is a colossal twat. I'm fairly sure I've made quite a few jokes over the years about Justin Bieber, both on YouTube and off YouTube, about just how crap he is. But you know what? There is a part of me that does think it's not all his fault. He is a product of his time, and he is a product of what the music industry made him, and he is a product of what we, the people, have done by listening to him, hating him, tweeting about him, making memes about him, and just generally talking about him. After all, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. Toodle pip.